What's up, everybody? Jay LaValle, Joe Wrestling. I am here. I am tired still, but I'm back with a preview, my wrap up of the Olympic Games for Wrestling Tokyo 2021. Hope you guys enjoyed the predictions and the previews, as well as the games. Hopefully, you had a chance to watch the games. And, some amazing wrestling, the top athletes, world-class athletes, if I must say, in every division, every weight class, every style, men and women, and very impressive. They spent the last 5 years really preparing for this, and the last whole year was very uncertain with COVID. I know many countries couldn't even train until this year, and that's going to be very hard. And I'll get to some of that stuff. I have friends from all over the world. I talk to them all the time, and they're keeping me in touch with what's happening in their countries. And believe it or not, we are very lucky here in the United States. We were basically back open in June 2020 and holding competitions and making sure we were going to be prepared for the games this year. And they crept up on us pretty fast, in my opinion, but other countries did not have that same opportunity. And the United States did an amazing job at the games. The men's freestyle, women's freestyle, Greco. I was a little disappointed, and we'll get to more into that. But I'm going to dive into every weight class. I don't want to spend a lot of time, but give you a preview of who actually won, who my picks were, and go through each one. And I want to first, give you sort of an overview. My experience. This was my first Olympic Games that I've got to really sit down and watch from day one all the way to the very end, all sessions. About maybe 6 hours each day. And the coverage was fantastic, in some odd, weird way. Fantastic that we got to actually watch 6 hours worth of wrestling each day. Disappointing that it wasn't more coverage, obviously, and I'll get more into that. But logistically, the schedule was excellent. I mean, being that Tokyo is 13 hours ahead, that put us back here in the United States. If they're competing at 11 a.m. in Tokyo, which they were, 11 a.m. each morning, that means it's 10 p.m. here in the United States. So the schedule wasn't bad. So it was 11 a.m. and it was a 3-hour segment. They would go to 1 p.m. and that would bring us to about 12:30, 1 a.m. here. So not terrible. We didn't have to stay up super late. And then they resumed. This was the hard part. They resumed back at 6:15 p.m., which made it 5:15 a.m. here in the United States. It's sort of difficult if you don't understand how the time zones work, and 13 hours can throw you off a little bit because it pushes it back. Obviously another hour beyond the 12. But I stayed up for all of it. I woke up for all of it. And, I was excited every day to watch it. And it was disappointing for it to all end. So that, it was sort of bittersweet in the fact that got to see 6 hours of coverage. The mat coverage for me, and I'll go more into this, it wasn't that great. And, I didn't even know how to view any of this, even up until the day of, because everybody that I had heard from said you need cable login to access the NBC streaming app. And so I don't have cable. I haven't had cable in pretty much 20 years. 20 years I haven't had cable. I don't watch TV. And, people are saying, well, you need cable to access the NBC app to stream the mats. Well, I don't have it. So I started researching. I found YouTube TV allows you to see the Olympic channel. And I'm like, great, I'm going to get YouTube TV. I got YouTube TV. And, once I realized I got on YouTube TV, I could only see one mat. So that was super, super disappointing. I could only basically see coverage because the Olympic channel was covering it. They were basically only showing one mat at a time, and they would switch back and forth here and there. So that was frustrating because, I wanted to see certain key matchups, and they did a fairly good job of presenting key matchups, but there were many times when they just weren't shown. And it was catered primarily to Americans. I guess the Olympic channel quite possibly maybe only aired in the United States. I'm not sure, but that was sort of disappointing. Obviously I love cheering and watching the American wrestlers. However, I see them all the time. I want to see the other athletes from around the world. That's the whole point of the Olympics, in my mind, to be exposed to other countries, other athletes, their cultures, and their style of wrestling. I thought that would have been more prevalent in the presentation, but it was more geared towards Americans who might be viewing wrestling and for the first time, and they're only basically being put in front of them Americans. And to me, that sort of limits our, especially new fans that are checking this out. It really limits exposure to our great sport, in my opinion. But at any rate, I'm on this YouTube TV. I got one mat. I'm watching one mat for 6 hours a day. They switch back and forth. But by the last day, maybe it was the second to last day, I started, I only complain about things, and I don't complain often. I do complain because I care about our sport, right? I care about our sport. And I started complaining on Twitter because, the nice thing about Twitter is a whole wrestling community that follows what's happening in real time. They're tweeting back and forth. It's like a public text message chain that's going on. It's sort of neat. And there were quite a few that were, I'd say there was probably about a dozen people that were with me each night and each morning. I'd say less in the morning, but more at night. But, I started complaining about it. I'm like, why are they showing the American wrestlers who have already lost? They're basically trying to wrestle for a bronze medal, and they're not showing the world champions who are vying for gold medals. That was my complaint. It's a valid, legitimate complaint. And somebody came on and they said, well, go on the NBC app. And I said, I can't. I don't have cable login. That's been the whole problem. And then finally somebody chimes in and says, you can use your YouTube TV login. And like, there's no way. How am I just finding this out now? So come to find out, I go on and downloaded the NBC app. And sure enough, I log right in with the YouTube TV credentials, and I can see every mat. I didn't even know what to say. It just frustrates me that the information is not force fed to us on how to view things. And I feel like I'm not a important person in the wrestling community, but I feel like I'm deeply involved enough to need to know these things. And I didn't know it. And many people didn't know it. And it was frustrating, not only for me, but for them too. So, I'd say that was second to last day, but it was basically by the time the second to last day was done. And then on the last day, there was only one session. That was the other thing. The schedule was great because it was split in two sessions. I could sleep for 3 hours in between, about 3 hours. And then on the last day, I didn't know. I'm waiting at 10 o'clock at 10 o'clock at night on the last day for the repertoire bouts to start, and come to find out they changed it. Every day was the same. Start at 10 p.m., wrestle to 1 a.m., and then wrestle again at 5:15 a.m. till about 8 a.m. And the last day they changed it. They got rid of the 10 p.m. time and put everything in that morning session. So, you know, the communication needs to improve. But all in all, excellent experience. I'm happy I spent the time watching and, you know, obviously studying. I feel like I am more of a student of the sport and a coach and a teacher rather than a fan. I don't feel like I'm a fan yet enough. You know, I think this coverage, me watching the Olympics this year, made me feel like I was more of a fan, but I still don't feel like I'm a fan because I'm still just breaking down and analyzing everything everybody's doing. I'm not sitting there just cheering people on. I know that's part of it, and I am cheering people on, but not to the extent like a fan would. I think a fan is more or less just sitting back, casually watching what's going on, you know, doing other things. You know, I think of a fan like going to a baseball. You're not intently watching the whole time. Same, you know, like football or basketball. You're not fans are not watching the whole time. You know, you can get up, go do things, you know, walk around. And wrestling, you can't. You literally, to me, you literally have to zone in, watch everything to see what's happening, or you're gonna miss something. So I'm just constantly studying it. But I would say this was the first time I felt like I was more of a fan. You know, and with that being said, you know, I made these previews a week ago. And the thing about those previews, you know, it was obviously based off of the top 4 athletes who were seeded in each weight class based on their ranking points that they accumulated the year before or throughout the year. And I based it off that. However, you know, the draws came out the night before the competition, and that just throws everything for a loop. You know, you can't base I can't base solid projections off of just seeding or top 4 seeds, and then everybody gets drawn in randomly. And that's what happened really. To some of, I would, you know, after I saw some of the brackets, I'm like, man, I would not have picked or predicted in this way. However, you know, I did it. I'm happy I did it. I'm happy I was able to deliver and do extensive research on every single weight class, men and women and Greco, and give you my best, you know, picks based off of what I've found and what I study and what I see and what I've seen over the years. You know, and with that, there are haters. There's haters. There's people, you know, because my previews, my picks are a week ago before the draws came out. You know, some of them obviously didn't play out as they would, as if, you know, if I was viewing it as I was viewing it a week ago. You know, and there were haters saying, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about. I only selected 3 gold medals out of 18, which is true. So I must not know anything about wrestling. Well, I'm happy to deliver this stuff and help educate and provide you my insight, irregardless of any criticism that I receive. I'm happy and open to hear it. There are obviously haters when you start having, I think when you start delivering more content that is valuable, that to me is what I've found in this whole process over the last, you know, week and a half, is that the more value you provide people, free by the way, the more criticism you're going to get. And I was open to it. I got a lot of it. I got some positive stuff out of it. I learned a lot about it. I'm happy I did it. And, you know, I'm just want to educate as much as I can. So with all that being said, you know, I'm going to run through all the weights. I'm going to go through some surprises and disappointments at the very end. But, you know, let's start here. You know, my first preview that I did last week was Greco. I'm going to basically start with Greco, go to men's freestyle, and then go to women, just like I did last week. So in Greco, 6 weight classes, obviously. I basically picked 4 finalists. Let me think. Yeah, I picked I picked 4 of my overall picks that I had made the finals. Obviously, I picked them to win, but only one of them won. 1 out of the 4 won. So that's in my opinion, that was pretty good. Four of the 6 weight classes I had picked to win the whole thing. They made the finals, but only one won. All right. Also, I picked 16 out of I picked 4 in each weight class. 16 out of the 24 available medals actually medaled. So that was pretty decent, and it was very similar for men's freestyle, women's freestyle. Better than 500, so that's always good. But here we go. Let's go. 60 kilos. I took the. Let me pull it up here on my screen. I took Kenshiro Fumita from Japan to win the whole thing. He's in his home country, and honestly, he was one of the only Japanese athletes that I actually selected to win the whole thing. There were more. They actually won 5, but he was one of them. But Luis Orta from Cuba, man, he had an amazing tournament. He went in there, and in his first bout, he beat Hafizov 5-0. Hafizov from the United States, and then he beat Sergei Emlin from Russia. And that was a huge surprise, I think. I don't think it's a surprise to many people that are, have watched these guys compete. They know they're training hard, competing hard. But Emlin, he was one of the favorites on paper. Orta wasn't really in that mix. But I did pick Emlin to win a medal, and he did. He won a bronze medal. But Orta won the whole thing. He beat Fumita 5-1. I mean, Fumita could not answer with anything. So that's 60 kilo. I also had Karem Kamal from Turkey. He got knocked out in the first round by Victor Siabanu from Moldova, and Karem Kamal could get pulled back into repertoire if Siabanu went to the finals, but he didn't. He got beat. He got tech fall by Orta 11-0. So I had high hopes for him, for Kamal. He's a 3-time junior world champion, which is impressive. And then I had Najati from Iran, and he did not make it. So the winners here, Orta, Fumita, in that order, and then the 2 bronze medalists, Emlin from Russia, who I picked, and Salike from China, the other bronze medalists. All right, moving on. 67 kilograms. I picked my countryman Hansu Liu for this one, and he had a tough. He had a preliminary bout first, which he won. But he had a tough draw. He basically had the 2nd seed. And this is why I don't agree with the seedings. He had 2nd seed, and Hansu is a 2-time world champion. Don't stick the 2-time world champion against if you're gonna have seeding, have separation as well, right? You can't have one. You gotta have. The only way you could really fairly do it is have separation. You don't need seeding if you have separation, but if you have seeding, you also need separation. You can't just draw 12 other athletes in without paying attention to their credentials. And the argument is that the athletes could control their own destiny. Well, that's not true. If these athletes went to these ranking events and they just had bad events, they still have the credentials behind them. If Hansu was a 2-time world champion, went to these ranking tournaments to accumulate these points to become seeded, he could have bad tournaments and he's still not going to get a good seed. So it doesn't make sense because in my mind, you have to consider the credential. But at any rate, Hansu lost to Mohammed Ibrahim El Sayed, and man, it was a dogfight. El Sayed was up by like 7-1, and then Hansu just kept fighting back and clawing and getting back in the bout, and he ended up being 7-6. And again, El Sayed had to make the finals to pull Hansu back in to go back to repertoire to fight for a bronze medal. And El Sayed lost to Nasibov of Ukraine 7-6. It was like another close one. I mean, he lost it by fractions of seconds. But at any rate, I took Liu, but I also took El Sayed to medal. He did medal. He took a bronze medal. I also took Frank Stabler from Germany to medal. He did medal. He had an amazing run. He retired. He took his shoes off in the middle of the mat. He had beat Mate Nemes from Serbia. Actually, that was a surprise to me. I thought he could medal, but I didn't think he was going to beat Nemes. Nemes, I think, was seeded number 4 in the. And Nemes is good, despite it. Some of the seeds I didn't believe were true seeds, but Nemes, I think, he's a good 4 seed in there. But I didn't think Stabler could beat him. So he beat him 4-1. And then I also took Barrero. He was the number 1 seed of Cuba, and he got knocked out. He did not look good at all. 3-2 first preliminary round, and that guy did not make the finals because Mohamed Reza Geraye won the whole thing. Man, he looked amazing. And I slept on him. I don't know why. And I know he is super explosive and fun to watch. I don't know why I slept on him. Because I'm high on his brother. He has a brother, 77 kilos. We'll get to him. But he basically took out Zodze from Georgia, who beat Barrero, and then he took out Stabler. And first round he had Horta, Garay had Horta, but then he took out Nasibov from Ukraine 9-1. I mean, he dominated. So that's 67 kilos. Again, excellent wrestling. I think that was the second day of maybe second day. 77 kilograms, my man. Axel Makhmadov, I picked him to win the whole thing. He made the finals. He looked amazing. And then he hit Victor Lawrence. And Lawrence, like I had mentioned in my preview, this was his 3rd Olympics, 2012, where he was a silver medalist. He lost to Han-Woo Kim, 2016 in Rio. And this one, but Lawrence got him at the end. Axel Makhmadov would have been, if he won, he would have won the first gold medal for Kyrgyzstan, which would have been an amazing feat for him, but it didn't happen. And then I took Geraye, the older brother, and he's bigger, from Mohamed Reza. This is Muhammad Ali Geraye, 77 kilos. And he had some dog fights. First round, he looked good. He had Pena from Cuba. And then he had Bozo Starkovic from Croatia. And he barely won that bout. He actually did a flying squirrel at the end, won it 5-5 on Criteria. Questionable. And then he had I'm sorry, not Victor. Victor is the other brother at 87 kilos, Tomas Lawrence. Then he had Tomas Lawrence in the semis, lost to him 6-5. Heartbreaking. It was, again, another one that went all the way down to the wire. And Geraye, he did not even place. He won his repertoire bout, but he lost. He got tech ball by Yabaku from Japan. So that was disappointing. And it's hard sometimes to wrestle back after, your dream is to win the Olympics and make the finals. And he didn't make the finals. He lost 6-5 and questionable in my opinion. I thought he should have been in. And then to wrestle back, not only do you have to win you have to wrestle 3 bouts. And if you lose the third one in the semis, you get dropped down right into the bronze medal match. Right. So that's 3 bouts, and then you get to wrestle 1 more for bronze. Whereas the other guy who he had to wrestle for bronze, they only have to wrestle 3 times because they lost the first time, right? And they get pulled back into repertoire. And then the next day they have to wrestle 1 time to get to the bronze medal match. So very, the system isn't set up the best. To me, it's not fair, but you got to work through the system. The other medalists in this bout, like I said, Yabaku from Japan and Husinov from Azerbaijan. He's impressive. Who did he wrestle? Husinov. He wrestled Makhmadov, and he did score points on Makhmadov, but Makhmadov is he's an animal. That's all I can say about that kid. He's just an animal. He destroyed Husinov. Husinov medaled. And then, so I only in that weight class, I only got 2 of the medals correct. 87 kilos, moving on. 87 kilograms. Johnny Stefanowicz from the United States. He is my old student from back 10 years ago. Obviously, I'm going to take him, support him 100%, regardless of what anything says on paper. I don't care if somebody else has won 2 Olympic gold medals and Johnny Stefanowicz comes in and doesn't have any world or Olympic medals. I don't care. I'm still taking Johnny Stefanowicz. And people, I've had a lot of criticism about picking in that manner, but they don't understand that you are always loyal to your athletes, irregardless of whether you're still training them or not. You're not going to bet against, you shouldn't, in my opinion. That's not how it works. You shouldn't do it. I got some flack about not Johnny, but Kyle Snyder. Kyle used to come to my club when he was in 8th grade, and I was training with him when he was 180-pound high schooler. And I get flack that I took Snyder because Sadulayev is the pound for pound bet. Who cares? I love Sadulayev, but I'm not picking Sadulayev because Kyle Snyder, my boy, is going to be in the finals, and I'm picking him. You don't go against that. And if you do, I think you need to recheck why you're in the sport. If you're just one of those fans, okay, I get it. You just want to be an uneducated fan, that's fine. And that's why I think I haven't become a fan yet. I don't want to be an uneducated fan. I feel like I'm still pretty deep in the mix in some of this stuff. So that, again, I'm getting sort of off track here. 87 kilograms, Johnny Stefanowicz. I took him. And Zan Belanuk. If Johnny wasn't there, I would have taken Zan Belanuk. Zan Belanuk won, and he beat Lawrence's brother, Victor Lawrence. He beat him in the finals. I did have both of them medaling, as well as Johnny, obviously. And I also took Rustam Askalov from Uzbekistan to medal. He did not medal. But that's how it played out. Now, Johnny had the Croatian. He was on the same side as Belanuk. Johnny had the Croatian, Ivan Haklek. And there was some questionable things going on in that bout. Number one, Johnny does this tradition, patented, it's not his, but at this point it might as well be, but it's like a stand-up, and you time it on the whistle in parterre. He gave up the point. He went down in parterre. And on the whistle, he stood up and faced him to wrestle. And he got penalized, got put back down again, got turned, and then near the edge, they were all the way out of bounds, and the official let it keep going, and then he got turned again when he was already out of bounds. And the action had stopped. So, that was questionable. They didn't, Johnny and his coaches didn't want to challenge it because they were not confident that it could get overturned, and then they would basically give up another point. Completely understand. They were confident in Johnny's offense for him to get back in the bout, and he did. He got back into the out. He got back. It ended up being 5-3 final. But man, a little too late. And then Huckleck lost to Belanuk, and that ended Johnny's run. So 87 kilos was fun to watch. Obviously, when you have athletes in there, you really, it makes you more nervous. 97 kilograms. All right. My winner, Artur Alexanian from Armenia. He did not win. He lost. In fact, he lost, and he didn't wear his medal on the medal stand because he was so upset about the way the officials ran his bout. And he lost to somebody very good. He's lost to somebody who he has battled with over the last few years. In fact, I think at the 2019 World Championships, he lost to Musa Evlov from Russia, and Evlov won to be the Olympic champion here. But nothing to be ashamed of. Alexanian, he was the defending world Olympic champion, and he didn't get it done. But this was a weight class where I got all 4 of the medals correct. I didn't get the winner correct, but he did get silver medal. Evlov gold, Alexanian silver, Tadeusz Makalik from Poland, it was bronze, and Mohammad Hadi Saravi from Iran was bronze as well. That was the only weight class out of all 3 styles that I predicted all 4 medals. So that was cool. All right, last weight class in Greco. Then I'm going to move on. 130 kilograms. This was the only weight class that I did predict the winner, and that was Cuba, Mian Lopez. He had to actually beat, I actually predicted this to be the final, but again, because of this seeding system and the draws they were all over the place. And obviously because they're random, they're going to be all over the place. But some of the draws to me they weren't random enough. They weren't random. It just didn't make any sense that some of the draws ended up being the way they were. So Lopez ended up being the same side as Riza Kaliup from Turkey. I had predicted that they would go 1-2. It couldn't happen. So my prediction could not happen, basically because of the draw the day before the competition made it impossible. And that matchup happened in the semis. Kaliup lost, but Kaliup did get a bronze medal. I wrestled back. Lopez ended up winning. He ended up winning his 4th Olympic gold medal. 4th. Tokyo, Rio, London, Beijing. Amazing. And, people are talking about, he said he's done, but I don't see how you can be done when literally you have Paris Olympics in 3 years instead of 4 years. He's like 39 years old, I think. I think he can do it, win another gold medal. But I had Lopez, I had Kaliup, I had Abduliev from Uzbekistan, and I did select Semenov from Russia. He medaled. He was a bronze medalist. So that's it for Greco. Like I said in my preview, I'm not a huge Greco connoisseur per se, like I am freestyle. Freestyle, I feel like I'm way more well versed than any of these 3 styles. But Greco, I learned a lot. I watch a lot of Greco anyways. I just don't know the people who they are a lot of times. But I did learn a lot from some of these athletes. All right, moving on. Freestyle. Freestyle, 15. I predicted 15 medals out of 24 available medals. I predicted 3 of my overall picks made the finals, which was good, but only 1 won, which was not so good. All right, so and on the first day, I was actually doing pretty good. I predicted 6 for 6, and then only one had won at that point, Lopez. So at that point, I was like, okay, we still have 6 more days to go, and it didn't really improve much. But I'll keep going into it so you guys can see, what's going on. 57 kilograms. We had. Let me pull this up. Some of the stuff I can just go off my memory, but Zavu Ovuyev from Russia. I predicted him to win. He did win. He's a 2-time world champion, and now he's an Olympic champion for Russia. He has reported that he had was feeling sick and had a bad weight cut, and he had Thomas Gilman. So this is again where the draws come in. It makes sense that if it's random, this is my thing. If it's random, why are there so many high-level matchups in that first round? Because remember, if you're facing a high-level competitor, you have a better chance of getting pulled back into repertoire if that athlete makes it all the way to the end. And I saw this happen there. Thomas Gilman actually could have beat Uguyev because of his condition. If Uguyev was healthy and not sick and not having to battle, I don't think Gilman's close to him, but that's what was happening. It just seems too coincidental that Gilman gets dropped in against Uguyev first round, and Uguyev was obviously the favorite on paper for probably everybody, and which would basically guarantee Gilman getting pulled back in. So Gilman gave him a good match. He was winning actually with like 5 seconds left. It was amazing, and Uguyev pulled it off. And then he pulled it off. Uguyev pulled it off against Abdullayev from Uzbekistan. He was losing and pulled it off again with like literally 10 seconds left. But Uguyev, he had an amazing tournament. He beat Kamur Ravi from India. He was trying to become the first Olympic gold medalist from India. Ravi, I underestimated Ravi a little bit. I thought Takahashi from Japan would beat Ravi, and Takahashi lost to Sanyev from Kazakhstan, and then Sanyev lost to Ravi. Ravi also did have a pretty easy draw, in my opinion. I think if Takahashi made it to Ravi, I don't think that was going to be a rematch of the 2019 World Bronze Medal. I don't think Ravi was going to beat him, but Takahashi did beat Stefan Misic. I had Stefan Misic as winning a medal. I also had Takahashi as winning a medal. Wasn't going to happen based off of that. So again, my predictions were going to be impossible based on the draws that occurred. So I did get 2 of them right. Gilman did medal. He came back, won a bronze, amazing for the United States, and Uguyev of Russia. So that's 57 kilograms. 65 kilograms. What can I say about this weight class? This is a weight class where I got a lot of flack, primarily because I took the Armenian Vazgen Tavanyan, and he's virtually has no credentials. However, he's an amazing athlete, amazing wrestler. I felt, in the preview, I said I felt like he had the most momentum going into the games. He had beat Vladimir Kinchigashvili, Haji Aliyev, who actually was the silver medalist here at the Olympics. and he beat one more high level guy. He beat Gadziev from Poland, and he beat one other guy. And he did this at the Euro qualifier to qualify for the games. And I felt like that performance was going to give him such a high boost of confidence. And watching him wrestle at the Euros, he was so dominant. I mean, he dominated Aliev. He dominated Kinchigashvili. He dominated Gazayev. And, I just thought he was going to get it done. What do you know? He got drawn against the number 1 seed. And he didn't look very good there. I don't know what was happening there. But Rashidov was, I'd say he could beat him in the finals. I don't know about a preliminary round. The preliminary rounds are different for everybody. Sometimes you're not ready. The weight pulling will mess with you. But drawing got Rashidov first round, and then Rashidov didn't make the finals. That's hard, So my pick, Tavanyan, was out after Rashidov lost to Otoguro. Otoguro won the Olympics by beating Haji Aliyev from Azerbaijan and brought home the only men's gold medal for Japan in Tokyo, which was pretty awesome to see on the last day. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I did not see, I love Otoguro. And the only reason I didn't pick him because I was, I questioned his strength, and I questioned his horsepower. And these guys are fast, they're strong, and at 2019 Worlds he had trouble with that. But he had a pretty good run here. He beat Tolga from Mongolia. He beat Musikayev from Hungary. He beat Rashidov, and then he beat Aliyev. I'd say that's one of the toughest runs out of every weight class that I saw. I mean, this weight class is a gauntlet anyways. So yeah, I was surprised. So my other pick, Tavanyan, Otoguro, Rashidov, those 3 I got correct. Akhmatliev from Kazakhstan. No, he's from Kyrgyzstan. He lost to Ponia in Bajrang Ponia in the first round. Another odd draw. He barely lost. It was 3-3, lost on criteria. Ponia really, I didn't think he had a great tournament. He still took bronze. He beat Ghazi from Iran in the quarterfinal, and then he lost to Ali. He got crushed by Aliyev in the semis, and then Bajrang dropped down and beat Nazi Bekov. I mean, he beat him pretty easily, 8-0. But he got the bronze. Rashidov got a bronze. Aliyev got the silver. Otoguro got the gold. Tavanyan got nothing. I'm still high on Tavanyan. I'm looking for him to redeem himself in the future. All right, moving on. 74 kilograms. This was an exciting weight class. Again, much like 65, high-powered, high-charge, lots of amazing athletes. One thing that stands out to me as I look at this bracket here is that Beksad Abdurakhmanov from Uzbekistan. He was actually born in the Soviet Union because it was like 1991, and then where he was born turned into Uzbekistan. He actually had to wrestle his teammate that he trains with every day in Tokyo. It's just unbelievable to me that this could happen. So Franklin Gomez from Puerto Rico, both of these guys, by the way, they represent other countries, but they live in the United States. They grew up Well, they didn't grow up. They went to school in the United States, I should say. And now they're representing their countries where they were born, you know, and they happen to have to wrestle the first bout against each other. It blows my mind. And this actually happened to them before in 2019 Worlds. The good thing out of all that is Bexon won a bronze medal. I did predict him to win a bronze. I did predict him to actually win a bronze medal. This one actually I predicted 3 of the 4. Zarbek Sidikov. He's my all-time favorite athlete to watch. I did not, and here's, again, I got highly criticized for not picking 6 out of 6 athletes, 6 out of 6 gold medals. Big deal. I picked based off my intuition and based off of my observations. I tried not to be biased towards my own favorite athletes. Sidikov is one of my favorite athletes. I didn't even pick him. I picked Frank Chimizo, who, I like Frank Chimizo. He's not like one of my favorite athletes, but I picked Frank Chimizo just based off the fact this is his second Olympics. He got bronze in Rio. He's just knocking on the door. He's getting up to close to mid-30s. And this is probably going to be one of his last goes. I mean, I think he'll go back to Paris, but he's going to be older. Sidikov still has time. I felt like if Sidikov didn't win a gold medal, not a big deal. He's got more time. Obviously, that's not what Sidikov is saying, but for Frank, I thought he was going to put more stock in all this. And not that he wrestled terrible. He wrestled pretty good. But he did lose to Kadi Magomedov from Belarus. And Kadi Magomedov was born in Russia and became a naturalized citizen in Belarus, believe it or not. And he beat Chimizo, and Kadi Magomedov actually beat Kyle Dake, which wasn't surprising. Kyle Dake did not look good, in the opening round. He says it's not a weight cut issue. In my mind, it was. I've seen him cut weight and have to wrestle. I've seen him cut to scratch weight and have to wrestle the same day, and he did not look good. In fact, he looked exactly the same that he looked at the Olympics. Just low energy. He looked very frail. Not frail, but I mean, he looked very skinny, sucked down. And that's why I was never high in Kyle Dake. When you put him in the actual competition where you don't have any concessions, in the Olympic trials, he got to weigh in and then for a full day, he got to sit and rehydrate before he competed. This is different. And so he got destroyed by Kadi Magomedov, tech fault in like 2 minutes. But he did win a bronze. He came back and beat Frank Chimizo. I don't think Frank Chimizo cared at that point, which is frustrating. I will never pick Frank Chimizo again, I don't think, just based off of the way that bronze medal match, he just didn't seem to care. But that's how it all played out here. Sidikov did not really have a whole lot of competition. He walked through this bracket. I'd still say 65 kilograms with Otaguro. He had 4 tough opponents to win that gold medal. But let's move on. 86 kilograms, David Taylor, Hassan Yazdani, Chirati. That was the awaited final bout, and it didn't disappoint. They both sort of walked through this bracket to get to the finals. I don't want to say it's weak. Obviously all these guys are super athletic and competitive and world-class athletes, but those two stand out way ahead. Even, I picked 3 of the 4 in this one. Yazdani, I picked Yazdani to win. He did not win. Taylor won. I picked Archer Naffenov. He is from North Ossetia, and I just heard the story about him. When he was 7 years old, he was in North Ossetia during the wars that were happening at that time in his school. Something happened at his school, shooting or something, and his mom went in the school to save him, and the mom died. Crazy stuff. Crazy, 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 crazy stuff we take for granted. And this guy now is a bronze medalist. Amazing. And the most ironic thing about all this as well is Zarbek Sidikov went to the same school, and Zarbek Sidikov is an Olympic gold medal. Zarbek was not at school that day, believe it or not. There was some reason he wasn't at school, but he was in that school with Naffenov. Naffenov's mom got shot. Naffenov obviously had to overcome that. Sidikov, I'm sure, I'm sure he feels very, very lucky to not have been there on that day. And he had even said through translators and interpreters that, the reason he wrestles is because of that tragedy. Adversity makes you stronger. If you can endure adversity like that, people either crumble, weak people are going to crumble, strong people are going to overcome it, and they're always going to hold it close to their heart, and train with it there. For me, I don't want to get off track again, but for me, it was my mom going through cancer. I always held that close to my heart when I was training, and it was just something greater than myself. And I felt like it took me to a whole nother level that I was never at before, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of it. And I'm sure that's, I'm not an Olympic gold medalist, but I'm sure that's sort of the same feeling that those guys are feeling when they're, trying to achieve greatness. And then when it happens, man, it must be the most amazing feeling. Getting off track here, those guys went, Taylor and Yazdani got to the finals. Taylor pulled it out in the last, 10 seconds or 15 seconds. He used the same exact leg attack I just taught to my man Earl Blake last week. Knee drop, right leg lead, knee drop, and your head goes to the same side on a double leg. Same exact leg attack. Amazing stuff. But the other bronze medalists here, besides Naffenov, was Miles Amin. Miles Amin wrestled at the University of Michigan. He represented San Marino, won San Marino's first Olympic gold medal, which was pretty awesome. And in that process of all, Miles winning the gold medal, Miles' dad, Mike Amin, he messaged me on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, every once in a while, I post my wrestling instruction videos there. And Mike saw it, and he messaged me. He's like, he said something to the effect, you are a great technician, or something to that effect. And when I get a compliment, especially from him, he actually wrestled in the United States. He's an NCAA finalist. Obviously his son is very good. He's got two sons that wrestle, Malik and Miles. But when you get a compliment like that, man, I really appreciate that. And I told him that. But I feel like I've only received two that stand out in my mind that I really remember, him, wrestling wise at least, him and Nate Carr. Nate Carr said he loved my videos. Solomon Carr, he lives in Maryland. He's part of the Carr family. I was friends with him. He actually brought his son to my club in Baltimore. But apparently his brothers, Solomon's brothers, including Nate, told him that they all love my videos. So that was the other awesome compliment that I've received, that those two stand out the most. But this weight class, I picked Charbonneau. Charbonneau, and he lost to Amin 2-0. So I'm really glad Amin won though over Charbonneau, even though I picked Charbonneau. I should not have picked against Amin. But moving on, last weight class in men's freestyle. This one again. No, not again. This one actually played out pretty close. Gino Petrofili from Georgia, Taha Akul from Turkey. I had those meeting in the finals. And then in a preview, I said Gable Stevenson from the United States could not beat either one. Well, guess what? He beat both. He beat Taha and let me see, he beat Taha in maybe the quarters. I think he beat him in the quarters actually. Let's see, Stevenson. Yeah, he beat him in the quarters, and then Stevenson beat the Mongolian in the semis, which I think the Mongolian, no, he did not medal. Which put Stevenson against Petrashvili in the finals. Very questionable. You know, I'm happy that the United States won. I did pick Taha anyway, so it didn't, I don't know, it didn't matter if Gino won or not to me. It would have been nice to see Gino win as well. I'm happy to see Gable win. However, the last 15 seconds, it was 8 to, they have it 10 to 8. That's not correct. I think he won 9 to 8. But the last 10 seconds, Stevenson was losing by like 4 points. And then he snapped Gino down, spun around, and he was still losing by 1. And then the official, he actually stood up from parterre. And there's a rule saying the top person in parterre cannot dictate when you get to stand up. So I didn't like that. You know, it's a stupid rule. I admit it's a stupid rule. But if you have the rule in place, you have to enforce it. And they do enforce it in every bout that I've seen. I've never seen the official let an athlete just dictate how the match goes. And in fact, the rules in place because the bottom wrestler has the opportunity to defend in parterre. It makes 100% complete sense why the rule's in place. It's sort of stupid at the same time, but it makes sense that it would be there. All right, but that's what happened. I don't know how I feel about it. Gable won. I'm glad he won for the United States. He is, well, he's already been viral for his backflips, but he's gone viral again for another backflip. But yeah, that does it there. I did take Kozyrev from Russia. He did not place. Who placed in front of him? Zaire. No, I did take Zaire. I'm sorry. Zaire. Amir Zaire. He's a young athlete. So I went 16 for 24. So I did get all 4 of those correct. Boom. All right. This is it. My eyes are shut. My contacts are getting a little, sorry guys, I don't normally have to do this, but my contacts are getting dried out. That's why I keep rubbing my eyes. I just got these new contacts, and the eye doctor told me, because I told her specifically, my last set of contacts kept drying out, and she told me specifically, oh, these 1-a-days are going to be great. And I had a 2-week lens. Now I have throwaway 1-days, and these are drying my eyes out almost like after a couple hours of having them in. So not good. I got to go back and return them. Okay, this is the last of it. The women's. I actually did pretty good on the women's side. Again, I'm not well versed on the women's, but I think, you know, it was good for me to watch it all week, learn the athletes, learn their stories, watch more of them wrestling because it's a little different than the men's. And I think I did pretty good here. All right, here we go. 50 kilograms. I had Maurice Stadnik. She's from the Ukraine. Now she's wrestling for Azerbaijan. I took her as the gold medalist. She lost to Yu Sasaki from Japan. She tech balled everybody. Not a point scored on her. She won, obviously. I took Stadnik just primarily based on the fact that she's been to, this was her 4th Olympics. She has a bronze, 3 silver, bronze. She had a bronze and 2 silvers coming in. And I took her just because I want to see her win a gold medal for Azerbaijan. So now she has 2 bronze, 2 silvers. You know, she did medal. Sasaki won it. Tech failed everybody. Sarah Hildebrandt, she lost. Man, she should have been in the finals. She lost to Sun Yanin. Like in the last, I feel like she lost it in the last like minute or so, or 30 seconds. But she lost to her. Sun got dominant. Well, I don't think anybody was going to beat Sasaki. But Hildebrandt got a bronze medal, which was great. And she beat Lavash from, where's she from? From Ukraine, believe it or not. And I had her, actually took her to medal as well. So she didn't medal. The other medalist in this weight class was Sun, obviously, from China. I didn't pick Sun, but she made it to the finals. All right, 53 kilos. 53 kilos. This is another one I got 3. So that one I had 3. This one I got 3 as well. Now I did not predict the finalist in this one either. Maya Mukeda of Japan. Japan won 5 gold medals, 4 in the women's and 1 in the men's. It's amazing, amazing run. But Mukeda won. Pang from China was the finalist here as well. I picked her. Who else did I pick? I did take Badachoyan from Mongolia. She was a bronze. She won the bronze. And then my last pick, I took. No, I had Jakara Winchester win the whole thing, and she didn't place. She lost her bronze medal match to Kalia Zinkaya from Bulgaria. No, from Belarus. And yeah, Winchester had a tough tournament. She did not look herself. She looked like she had a lot of low energy, maybe a bad weight cut. She's normally 57 kilograms where Helen Maroulis wrestled. So maybe being down at 53 hurt her. Yeah, she was one of my bigger disappointments. Not because I'm disappointed in the way she performed, but just her, disappointed for her, I should say. I'm not disappointed really, but so that's 53 kilograms. We'll get into more of the disappointing and surprises at the end. 57 kilograms, Helen Maroulis. I took her for the finals. Man, she wrestled her butt off. Yeah, she had some scares in the first bout. She was losing, and then she came back, dominated, won her quarterfinals by 8, and then she had Risako Kawai from Japan, who won the whole thing. She only lost her by a point. Helen did win bronze medal though. Let me see. I only selected Helen and who was the other one I selected? And Kauai to medal. Kauai obviously won it. I did take who else did I take here? I did take the Nigerian girl. I don't know how you say this. Adekorio. She got pinned in the first round by Anastasia Nichta from Moldova. She was winning too. She was winning 8-2 and then got pinned. So I had her. I was thinking it would be her and Helen in the finals. And then I had Pan from is it Pan? Who is this? Wrong. I'm sorry. Wrong of China. So that rounds out 57 kilograms. 62 kilograms. I did pick the finalist here. My overall winner made it to the finals, I should say. Azlu Tanimbekova of Kyrgyzstan. She then, after Makhmedov, could not win the first medal for Kyrgyzstan. Tanimbekova could have. She was so close. She lost to Kauai's sister. I think she's the older sister, Yukako, and man, lost 4-3. But I did pick her, and she made it to the finals. I also took here Kauai, who obviously won and made it to the finals. I also took the bronze medals from Bulgaria, Tabi Yusin. I took her. And then I took the Mongolian Kurgalin Bolatuya. I took her, and she actually won a match. Let me see where she won. She actually beat the India girl she beat her 2-2, and then she lost to Yusin, and then Yusin lost to Kauai, so she did get pulled back into repertoire. I took her, but the other winner here was Irina Kolyandenko from the Ukraine, and this is 62 kilograms. 68 kilograms, Tamara Mensah-Stock. Man, she became an instant celebrity overnight. She is like one of the most genuine, and I don't know, she's something about her. She's such a fierce competitor, but she's so genuine and down to earth. And when she's speaking after she won, she's bawling her eyes out, and she's just revealing like these things about herself. And for the lover of the United States, I felt that was amazing. And obviously the memes started coming out with her political ones, which shouldn't have been political at all. But awesome that she gets recognized outside of our sport because of that. But I did take her, and I did take the other finalist from Nigeria, Blessing. I think that's her name. Let me see. Yeah, Blessing Obadudu. And that was a hard, tough fought bout. Mensah-Stock looked great all the way through. Semis, she looked great. A little scary in the finals, but she pulled it off. Let's see who else. I did take Doshu of Japan to medal here. She did not medal. And I took Leroque to medal. Leroque from where is Leroque from? Leroque from France. She did not medal. Doshu from Japan did not medal. But Alla Cherksova from Ukraine. Ukraine had an amazing women's tournament. And I took from Kyrgyzstan, and I'm sorry, I didn't take, this is the actual result. Miram Zumazarova from Kyrgyzstan took the other bronze medal there. All right, 76 kilo, the last one. I'll wrap this up. It's getting a little long here. I'm glad I can do this for you guys, though. I wanted to do it last night, got tied up with some stuff, so I'm glad I can do it here on a Sunday night and get it up for you this evening. 76 kilograms. I took Adeline Gray in the finals to win the whole thing. She came up short. She lost to Rotten Folker from Falken. Don't get it mixed up. It's Rotten Falken from Germany. She lost pretty bad here. Just 2 leg attacks that Adeline got on, and it's same ones on it was a single leg, head inside single on the left leg, and she just could not finish it. And I think she got thrown in one of them, and the other one I think resulted in counter offense points. But those are the only 2 that I've selected correctly in this weight class: Rotten Falcon and Adeline Gray. And I did take Weeb from Canada. She did not place. And Voroviva from, where is she from? From Russia. She did not place. The other medalists here were Yasmin Adur from Turkey and Zhao Quan of China to round out the medals. And that's going to do it here. I wish I had more time. I wish I could deliver more stuff like this to you, and I think I will. I've been inspired to do more of this stuff. I think it's good to learn more about our sport. Be a resource. I think that's the biggest thing that came out of this. Not only do I provide, obviously, in-person training. I provide virtual training. I provide guidance. I provide resources, training resources, guidance, just what to do through the sport. It's a hard sport to follow if you haven't been in it before or have family or friends that have been in it before. And now I realize I also, I make content, video clips, but now I realize I have this other whole area of wrestling that I enjoy doing, and it's delivering you more I'd say coverage of the sport, and I never thought of myself doing this stuff. I have done, obviously, podcasts and stuff before, but I never thought that I would be doing this stuff, or it'd make a difference. And I got a lot of good positive feedback, and I got a lot of negative feedback, which is fine. But that just means, I think, that, when you, like I said earlier, when you deliver high value, you're going to get more criticism. So that's what's happening here. Surprises and disappointments. Surprises, Takuto Otaguro. He was my number one surprise. I shouldn't have doubted him one bit. Now there's no doubt. He looks like the biggest 65 kilogram wrestler I've seen. He looks fast. He needs to fix his tactics a bit. He'll get a lead and then just start running away. That's not wrestling. That's negative wrestling. Olympic gold medalists don't do that. He's now Olympic gold medalist. He needs to change the way he wrestles in the future. Let's see. Other surprises, U.S. Greco-Roman. I thought U.S. Greco-Roman would come away with at least one medal. They got nothing. So we're back at the drawing board there. And then disappointments, Jakara Winchester. She's the one that stands out in my mind. I felt like she could win this. She could have won that whole thing. She just had a bad tournament. The seeding and draws, that was the other disappointment. I feel like UWW needs, obviously they're trying to make this more, I get it. And, I'm critical at a lot of times about this stuff. And it's not because, I dislike the people that do it. I dislike the organization. It's because I love and care about our sport. And somebody that's entrenched in the sport, and as I just said, on many different levels, for somebody like me that knows these athletes, now I know them even more. It feels like I know all these athletes even more in depth just from following the Olympics. But now that I know more, it makes the seeding and the draw system that much worse. Before, when I first saw some of the draws before they even competed, I'm like, this doesn't look right. And now that it's over and I know these athletes better, it's like something's got to change. I don't know what it is. I'm not the expert. You guys, whoever is watching and whoever can figure it out or who's working on that stuff, you guys figure it out. The only thing I can offer is you have separation. Separation is easy. You consider credentials, you consider head-to-head matchups, and you consider some of your ranking tournaments. But you cannot just use ranking points that are basically participation points to seed your event and then stick everybody else in. That doesn't make sense, especially during a COVID year. Half these athletes couldn't even train because of COVID. They're on quarantine. All my friends in Mongolia told me they could not train in basically all of 2020. That's very difficult. And I know other areas. My friends in Yucatán, Russia, they could not train. You can't expect, whereas the US, they're literally training in June 2020. Basically, they only had March, April, May off. 3 months of nothing, supposedly. I know athletes who never took time off during that time. I'm not going to name them and people, but most people were back in June training. They're competing. They're doing the rock fin cards. They're doing the floor wrestling cards in the United States. they're not going overseas, but they're doing it all in the United States. So the United States had a huge advantage over some of these other countries. That is my complaint. My biggest disappointment: seeding in the draws. No adjustments due to COVID. Make these brackets more balanced. And the last thing, and I'm not going to go too far on a rant on this, but the coverage that I was watching, it was all focused on the American athletes. And again, I realize NBC is a media company in the United States, and they're trying to capture the casual fan, or at least our sport is. And the way they're doing it is, it's intuitively, it might seem correct. Okay, let's get the casual American fan to watch. Let's stick an American in front of them. Why some of the, if you think about it politically, if you really want to get down to the honest truth here, politically, there's so many people in the United States that don't like the United States. So why would they even want to watch an American wrestler? You know, me personally, I didn't want to watch some of the Americans wrestle because I wanted to watch some of the other ones, not because I'm not patriotic or that I don't like the athlete, just because I wanted to see some of the higher level key matches. You know, there was a point where they were showing the repertoire bouts of the Americans, and I didn't really want to watch it. You know, I was curious at what the result would be, because obviously I'm pulling for them. But Takuto Otaguro was wrestling. Haji Aliyev was wrestling. Rashidov was wrestling. I could not see them. And that's when I sort of like lost it on Twitter and found out at that point I could log in with my YouTube TV. But irregardless, if you're trying to target the casual fan, you have to bring them in through, you know, the storylines of the games, not just of the Americans, but of all the athletes from other countries. Expose them to other cultures and countries and stories of other people that make them human. You know, we're looking at these people, at these athletes, as only athletes. They're all human beings. That's the spirit of the Olympic Games. That's my final rant. I appreciate you watching. Thanks again, and I will catch you guys very soon. Hopefully I'll be able to deliver another one of these. Junior Worlds are coming up. I don't know if I can pull. That one's going to be like 10 days. I don't know if I can pull that long. It's a 9-hour difference. We'll see. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.